I wanted to start today's show with a brief announcement, and that's the fact that I'm having a 5-day sale beginning this Thursday on Thanksgiving through Monday, December 2nd. This is a rare occurrence for Standard H, so I would love for anybody and everybody to participate by way of getting your Standard H merchandise at a discount. You heard it. Some stuff has already been marked down, and this is in addition to. So join the email list if you're not already on it. The email list will supply you with the discount code that will indeed stack on those pieces that have already been marked down. If you live in Southern California, that is south of the Hollywood Hills, west of the 5 freeway, I'm going to hand deliver your order placed on Black Friday. I will hand deliver it to you to your house or wherever you so choose in that area on Saturday in a very special black car. Leave a note on your order saying that you are in fact in town, and I will deliver it to you on Saturday. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate all of you, and happy shopping. Now let's get to the episode. If you've ever listened to the podcast Pare Pare, I think it goes without saying its host Trevor Wynn and I have several interests in common. He and I have recorded twice for his show in 2 different locations, so when we were scheduling this conversation, we made it a third, and it wasn't just any location, we actually recorded this in my car. We met in Orange County to attend an event at the IWC boutique at South Coast Plaza, so it served as an insanely convenient, quiet place for us to talk Monterey Car Week, Trevor's personal car journey, and of course his experience with watches. We get into the whys and hows of Pare Pare, and Trevor also shares a bit about his day job as an employment defense lawyer. I'm super happy to call Trevor a friend, and I'm equally as happy to share this chat with all of you. I'm your host, Wesley Smith, and you're listening to the Standard H Podcast. So how was your drive down here?
Drive down here was great. It was very easy. Just took what is it? PCH. I love that
Stretch
drive.
along the road?
Yeah.
Or a stretch along the road. A stretch along the ocean?
Yeah.
Nice,
It's so
man.
good. Yeah.
That sounds like super relaxing and beautiful on a Saturday morning.
We're just checking levels, right?
No, man, we're rolling now. I don't care. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'm not ready.
I don't have intro music.
I don't know. I wasn't
Actually, I
ready.
do have intro music. I just don't have the
Okay. No worries.
the beepity bops that you get.
It's all good. We're good. I guess I should have answered with more of a full answer then.
No, it's all good.
No, the drive is great. Orange County roads are just amazing. I love to drive in Orange County.
Yeah.
The roads are smooth, wide. People drive extremely fast. It's nice.
Yeah. Tell me about Monterey Car Week. I've never been. It's on the bucket list.
Mhm.
I think you and I have sort of glazed over this topic before.
Yeah.
Was that your first time?
Yeah, that was my first car week. It was incredible. Everything I ever thought about what car week could be, it was. And I think a lot of that came from both planning, but also having an expectation to have a good time.
Sure.
You know, I think a lot of people, especially people that we know, they get very jaded because these things are, I wouldn't say a given, but they do them all the time.
Right. It's often. Yeah.
I don't think he would be offended by me telling this story, but like my buddy Stefan, he goes all the time. So when I was telling him about it, he's like, I've been, you know, he didn't have an interest in it.
Right.
And so for me as going for the first time, it was incredible. It's like car heaven. Everywhere you look, there are cars and car people. And I think that's what's special because you don't even have to go to a car event to have an experience at Car Week. You could literally just go to Carmel by the Sea and walk around and you could have an amazing time. Not even pay any money.
I don't know if you saw my post or not, but that's exactly what I did prior to this car week.
I saw you were there right before
I was
it
there
started.
this Sunday before it started. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of unloading of said cars off of trucks. It was beautiful weather as well. I couldn't speak for the rest of the week. How was the weather while you were there?
Amazing.
Okay,
really
perfect.
good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're also under such threat of rain in that part of the state almost year round that like getting 72 and sunny is just like insane. No, I'm stoked for you that A, you were able to go, B, the weather held up, and you experienced it. What was your favorite part?
Ooh,
Not just the cars. I mean, like, is there a
yeah,
specific event,
probably.
or did you meet anybody that was like, holy smokes?
I met a lot of cool people, but I would say the quail,
Yeah. Okay.
which
Well,
some people would have
it's the spendy one,
difficulty.
right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Listen, you're gonna pay a lot of money to do the car week stuff. You just have to accept it. You save up for it. You allot for it. Whatever you want to say, you got to do that. Okay.
What did you spend? Do you mind me asking?
The ticket to the quail?
Or the whole time?
I
What do you think you're out the door? Well, because you stayed with a buddy, right?
I did. So that saved me a lot of money.
Right. So
Yes, I have a car friend who is lucky enough me to know him who has a home there. So he let me stay at his house. It was great. But how much did I spend? Let's see. The quail ticket was I think 1,200. That's the retail.
that's for the whole weekend or one day?
No, that's just for like a portion of a day. That's just the quail. Yeah.
So that's only one day or like a few hours. 1,200.
I think it's 10 to 3. But again, listen, you have to come with a frame of mind.
No.
Like,
I totally get it. It's like buying a watch. Like
yeah,
you just got to grit
yeah.
and bear it.
And that was fortunate because a lot of people paid a lot more than that.
Okay.
I got that ticket at retail. The ticket to Sunday was $550. The
Okay.
show on the lawn.
You drove or flew up?
I drove up, so I don't know, gas.
Sure.
$150.
Yeah.
I took the SL. Let's see. The Sunday. Oh, this one was a shocker. So I went to Laguna Seca on Saturday for the vintage races,
Amazing.
and
That's like the historics.
yeah, amazing. But like just to park, because you don't actually. I guess this is the ticket, and I didn't know how much it would cost because Bring a Trailer was doing an event there that morning that my host was being a part of. He was showing his Alpha there. And so maybe if I'd gone with him, I wouldn't have had to pay, but I went separately, and it was $140 to park at Laguna Seca. And that one was That one was kind of shocking. I was like, okay. They're like, yeah, it's $140.
Now, are these things catered? Like, does this include food and beverage or anything?
The quail does.
Good
yeah,
God,
the
it
quail
better.
is once you get in
They
there.
better have quail.
Well, they may have. Once you get in there, you don't pay for anything. So
Okay.
they have different wine vendors. All the wine is included that you would have. They have different bourbon vendors, all the bourbon, all the food. I had, I think, two helpings of ice cream. I had a great time.
Extra chocolate syrup.
Yeah, I got a nice little buzz going. Like it was
Okay.
yeah. No, the quail was spot on for me. Would I go every year? Probably not. But you could probably go on a media pass.
Yeah, we're gonna need to explore this.
Yeah, I know. They have them. Yeah, so. Yeah.
Wait, are those free then, or is it discounted?
It would be. I think it would be free if it was a media pass, but you'd have to meet their standards, which I'm sure you would. I wouldn't, but yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about going that route, but not that I think I could qualify either. But I like your optimism, and maybe we'll explore this for 2025. But we're sitting in my car at South Coast Plaza Mall. Speaking of optimism, hoping this recording turns out. It's great to see you. We've hung out off and on, I would say, for, I don't know, a year-ish. Been in touch a lot over IG, of course. I don't know that I know your car's, like, origin story. Like, what got you into cars?
My dad. My dad's a big car guy, and always grew up, like, playing with toy cars and having toy cars, and my brother and I used to go down to car dealerships and pick out which ones we would want, and used to get all those booklets, and just always loved cars. But it comes from him. And
what did he drive when you were a kid, predominantly?
Yeah, well, so that's an interesting story. I think predominantly horrible cars, but he had this whole thing where it was like he had a car that he called his go to work car, which was he would just treat like it was trash.
The daily driver.
Yeah, but it wasn't daily because he didn't go to work daily. He's a emergency room doctor, so he worked like weird hours.
Okay.
So he would work, I don't know, 2 to 5 shifts a week, somewhere in between there. So like it wasn't a daily, but then he would have a nice car, but the nice car, it could be all sorts of things. But one nice car he had was a 2003 Mercedes-Benz E500. That one was a great one.
Nice.
He had a 1989 BMW 635 CSI.
Oh, I love that car.
That was a good one. Then for a while he had a BMW 6 Series convertible when they re-released those.
Okay.
He likes luxurious, like big cushy cars.
Yeah, that sounds like a doctor. Do you? But you have a Benz.
I do.
You said you took the SL.
Mm-hmm.
What year and model is
It's
it?
a 2001 SL 500.
Oh, 2001.
Yeah,
Okay.
so into the road of the R129 chassis, Bruno Sacco designed. It's just gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
so solid.
What color is it?
It's white over beige.
Listen to you
Yeah.
with the Wesley Smith spec.
Yeah.
I love it. How long have you had that car?
I bought that car in June of 2020.
Okay.
It was one of my pandemic purchases, and I got it on Bring a Trailer. It was kind of an interesting story. I think everyone has ideas of how to do Bring a Trailer and like what works and what doesn't. But at this time, I thought I had my point of view on what works on Bring a Trailer. So what I did in this case is I bid what I thought the car would sell for 3 days before the auction ended. And then no one ever bid again, and I won.
Damn, you dropped the hammer early.
Yeah.
So
I sucked the air out of the auction.
is there... Okay, so I guess there's two minds here.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any part of you that said, I might have had this cheaper?
No.
And then there's the other one is like, this is what I expect to pay, so I'm willing to pay it, so screw it. I'm just going to drop the hammer.
Yeah. It wasn't a lot of money in relative...
Yeah, sure.
relative to what cars cost at that time, but also
Yeah.
it was $14,750, and
Wow.
that's what I put the bid on, and no one ever bid again. And
Had you been looking for this car or
Oh,
this
yeah.
type of car
Mhm.
for a while? How long were you looking for?
I mean, not a long time, but from May 5th of 2020 to I guess I bid on this car in late June. So
Okay, so you did like a
2
month.
months.
Yeah, like a month
But
and a half.
But that's like serious looking. Like I really want to get one looking, and I almost bought a local one that was a silver, and it had the panoramic roof. So some of them have panoramic roofs, and those are ones that traditionally people say are the better ones to have. Oh, this one's got the pano roof. These pano roofs go for $3,000 on their own.
I see.
That's what the pano guys. That's what we call them.
Right.
If you have that kind of roof on that car, you'll never take the roof off, which I like to have the roof on sometimes, I like to have the roof off a lot of the time. But the people with the pano roofs, they always have the roof on because it's like you're basically, I feel like I'm in a convertible, but I have the top on.
Right, like almost like a Targa.
Exactly.
You know, for me, I feel like if I were to ever own a convertible, it would go in and out of the garage with the top down. The top would never be up.
Yeah, I rarely have the top up. When the top is off on that car, I almost always have the top down.
Yeah. Like, granted, if it like started raining, you would
Yeah.
put it up, of course. But like,
Yeah.
if you're in England, like, there's like the big no-no. Like those people, like,
Yeah.
they top down always.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the Benz, the SL. You've also got a 911, a 997.1
Correct.
Carrera,
Yeah.
silver over black.
It's seal gray metallic over
Seal gray.
black. Yeah.
Okay.
I only make that correction because there is a silver.
Correct. Yeah, the seal gray is a little darker.
Mm-hmm.
What is the history and story behind that car?
So that's a car. This is what's so really fascinating in my watch journey and in my car journey, due to both time, but also a feeling of being left behind. I made a lot of purchases between 2020 and 2021. So I got that car in February of 2021 because I felt like the market was shifting on them, and I was
Okay.
about to be priced out of being able to get one. And I wanted to get a 911. I wanted to get the 911 that I thought was the best 911 that I could afford for my budget.
Sure.
And I saw the market moving on them. So I started really getting serious about buying one at that time. And this one came up on P-Car Market,
Sure.
which is a competitor to Bring a Trailer, or
Yep.
it was. I don't think it really is anymore.
I mean, it still has its own thing.
It has its own thing, but at this time, They were really only doing Porsches. Now I think they've expanded way
they
beyond
have
that.
like Ferraris and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. But that car was in Pleasanton, California, and I was at work on a Friday. And at this time, I took work very seriously and was just like, I'm supposed to be working right now. I'm not supposed to be bidding on this car kind of thing. So I'm bidding on the car, and my buddy Ken is texting me because he's watching the auction. And he's like, man, if you don't get this car, like, this is nuts, man. You got to get this. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm going to try. And I had been talking to the seller. I'd called him privately and asked him questions. Because when you buy a car at auction, it's a risk. It's a big risk. And there's going to be stuff that you didn't know about, and you just got to be okay with it. So this car I never saw. I looked at all the pictures, looked at all the videos, but you're still not going to get the full picture because it's a car you're not seeing, but you're going to buy. Anyway, end up getting the high bid on the car. And on P Market, they do a weird thing. I don't know if it's on every auction, but it was certainly on mine. So Bring a Trailer does not work this way. And what I mean by this is when you make your final bid on Bring a Trailer, when the auction closes, it'll say sold or it'll say reserve not met. Okay, on P Car, it was like pending. It said like pending. It was like that for like 4 minutes, maybe longer. It was so long that I called the seller and was like, did I win the auction? And he's like, yeah, you won. I don't know why it's not saying that. And so finally it was like sold. And I just felt like so elated. I felt great.
Wow, that's great. Well, so was there a stiff competition? Was there like a lot of back and forth?
There was a lot of bidding, but I got the car at a price I felt good about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't even want to tell you what it was now, considering what your budget is on yours. Now, yours is you want a much different thing.
Don't misconstrue budget for going rate. There's
Yeah.
Those are fundamentally different.
Yeah. Well, mine is also just a base, right? It's
Yeah.
not the S, so.
Well, that's true. And they're usually no less than $10,000 apart, I find. If you were to get the same spec car in an S versus a base Carrera, at least 10 grand apart, just off the top.
Yeah, yeah.
Same mileage, etc. So you bought 2 cars in 2 years, or maybe even less than 2 years.
There's more than that. There's more.
Keep it moving. Is this in order sequentially?
Yeah. I guess it would.
So what was the next car?
Then I bought a 996 cab in November of 21. So that was February of 21.
Do you still have that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got
drives it quite
2
a bit.
convertibles and a coupe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what promoted you to get a 996 cab?
I felt like, I really wanted her to learn how to drive manual, and so that she didn't feel comfortable driving the 997, which I understand. And then I had a Mustang before that, and that she really didn't like driving.
What is the clutch in a 996 easier than a 997 or something?
I think so, but I think it was also from just a value proposition and from this is his baby. I don't want to mess it up. I mean, candidly, she'll hear this and she would not disagree. I didn't want her to learn manual on my 997 either.
Yeah, sure. No, I get that.
Yes, that's not a car you really want to be like learning manual on.
Right.
But I always felt like the 996 was such a value proposition. I still do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And I think it's in some ways a lot of my childhood is the 996.
Mm-hmm.
The first Porsche that I rode in that was like a true, like, I can't believe I'm in this car. It's so amazing experience was a 996. And so I went and bought one because it felt like this is a great deal. And interest rates back then were like so low.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it was a great experience. That was another car I bought sight unseen. That was the last. Like I don't think I would ever buy a car again sight unseen, because then the SL and the 997 pretty much all checked out, no problems. This 996, there were some things on it that were not seen in the pictures, and then I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Okay, interesting. I love a 996 C4S.
Yeah.
Like with that script on the back and the wider hips.
Yeah.
And that car looks so good. And specifically blue over tan.
Ooh.
That is
like
a beautiful
ocean blue
car.
Metallic. Yeah.
It's just so sick.
Yeah.
It's such a great looking car.
I love those. And again, I think those are still undervalued. the very first car, and I'm laughing because like I think about these kind of things often, but the very first car that Cars and Bids ever auctioned was a C4S, just like you're describing. But I think the interior was black.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, and it went for like a steal. It was like 29.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for 996s for sure. As you said, value proposition.
Still is.
What? Okay, so what else? Tell how many cars you got?
So that was just the run of like kind of quick, and then I was good in 2022. I didn't buy anything in 2022. But then last August, I bought a Corvette because I'd always wanted a C5 Corvette, Z06, and I came close a few times to buying one over the years. Even when I was working in restaurants, like there was this prime example. Oh my gosh, it was amazing C5 Z06. It was in San Francisco, and this dealer had like very little miles, and they wanted $22,000 for it.
Wow.
And at the time, I had a 5th gen Camaro. And it was like
you're like anti-utility. It sounds like you can't carry anything in your cars.
Yeah, that's the point. No passengers except one.
Do you have a truck buried somewhere, or like a van, or like nothing? Okay.
No.
Clearly, no children.
No.
Got it.
All right. So what was I? Oh, so the Corvette. Yeah. So I'd always wanted this Corvette, and this Corvette was up in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to my dad. I was like, we could buy it together. It'll be fun. And at the time, I had like no money. This was like many, many years ago. And I always regretted that car that it got away.
I see.
So as things go, I ended up paying almost double for the one when I could actually afford it.
Right.
And it's my favorite car.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Z06. Now, does that date back to childhood because you're emotionally attached to this car, or do you feel like it actually drives the best?
Well, both, but it also drives phenomenally.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You'll have to drive it. Like
yeah.
it's.
I've never driven a Z06.
It's interesting because when you just drive it normally around town, it's completely docile. It has a lot of torque, so you can just drive it in second gear, no big deal, everything's nice. But then when you want to get after it, oh my gosh, it's a handful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
They're really good in a straight line. Are they good cornering though too?
The Z06 is. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And you are a member at a car club, or
no?
You parking these on the street? What are we doing?
We live in a condo building, so I have
so they're garaged.
Pretty much the ability to have as many spaces as possible. I just barter with people, and
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So they're covered even. That's great.
No, I wouldn't park. I'm too obsessive.
Right.
I'd just sell the car.
I figured you were at like motoring club or something like that.
No. I thought about joining several times, but every time I think about joining, I just don't, and then I miss the boat.
Right.
Yeah. But I know people that are members.
Yeah, sure. Is there a Grail car, or your love for the Z06? Okay.
Yeah. I really want a 993, so I've made a pledge to myself. No one knows this, but I guess they will now. I'm not buying another car until I buy a 993.
Well, you could. I mean, is that in addition to, or could it be instead of? Could you consolidate?
I would definitely consolidate, and we'll probably be forced to eventually. But I would need to consolidate / add a bunch of money. The 993 market really makes no sense to me. I really don't understand it.
What's the spec you're looking for?
I just want a narrow body 95 coupe.
So base. What
Do you
color?
know how much those go for now?
What color? Yeah, like 100,000. Yeah.
I won't even care about color.
Wow. Okay, so you're really open-minded.
Yeah.
What mileage range? Do you care?
I would want it between 50 to 100. I don't want it to have more than 100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I feel like there's not a ton of 993s with a ton of miles on them.
It depends. Every now and then, and I think you bring a trailer.
I've seen a couple 997s with like some 90,000+ miles on them.
Yeah, on the 993s, there are those that are out there that are over 100,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is it doesn't seem to, like, it's not like other car markets where once you get over a certain mileage, the value just plummets.
Right.
That's not the case with these cars.
Right.
And I don't fully understand how it stayed so solid.
I think my 2 cents, I think it has to do with the age of the car, meaning clearly they're not making any more of these things, which could be
Right.
said about all of these cars, but for
Yeah.
whatever reason, within the world of Porsche and maybe even Corvette,
Mm-hmm.
the body styles, as timeless as a 911 looks, there are distinguished differences in the aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
Going from a 964 to a 993 is obvious to a Porsche guy, right? Or a girl. 997 to 997.2, sort of only because of the taillights. Anyway, we don't have to go down the whole history, but like 993 is such a particular look, and I think being the that was the last air cooled, right?
993? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was the last air cooled. I think that is a major function
Oh, yeah.
to do with that as well.
I think so for sure.
Yeah, that's anyway. So Pare Pare, your
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
What was the first show? When was that? When did you launch it?
I believe the first show would have been like the second week of November of 2023 because
Oh, so you're coming up on a year.
I'm coming up on a year or it could have been in late October. I have to double check, but episode 51 came out this week, and so episode 52 is out on Tuesday.
Well, that
And
sounds
so,
like a year to
yeah,
me.
exactly. Yeah.
So what prompted you to start the show? And if you want to tell my listeners, our listeners, what your show is about.
Yeah. Well, what prompted it is like we're talking about right now, I sit with a lot of these thoughts about cars, watches, architecture. And I have, some friends that get it, but very few that truly, truly get it. And I just wanted to, talk more about it because these are things that I really care about and that I obsess over.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to kind of get that outlet out because in a lot of ways, they're podcasts that I think if people know me or you, they know what these are, but I find them to be a little outside of what I'm working with financially, but also age-wise, So I wanted to kind of bring my perspective as like a 35-year-old guy who lives and has interests of a 60-year-old man, but not coming from the perspective of a 60-year-old man, because that's usually what it is when you're talking about people that are talking about these things.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think affordability has probably a lot to do with that. And they've, had longer in their career and all the rest of that to sort of accumulate these things. As far as weekly episodes go, you chose Tuesday. Was that because you were coming for me or?
No. Do you know what's funny about that is I found as I was looking through podcasts that I listened to and podcasts that I thought Tuesday is a day there's not enough podcasts that come out.
Okay.
That was my thinking. But also I wanted to be earlier in the week. And there's some days you just can't pick. Like you really can't pick Saturday.
Right.
I think Saturday you just get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
On that same way, you can't pick Friday unless you're just so big. Like I listened to a podcast called Criminal. Criminal comes out on Fridays.
Okay.
I think they can only do that because they're so big now. You really can't pick Thursday either because Thursday's almost the weekend and people are feeling optimistic.
Yeah.
So you're kind of limited on days. Then Wednesday's full. Wednesday, there's a lot of podcasts that come out on Wednesday.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that I listen to. Then there's Monday. Monday's like, oh, I can't believe it's Monday. You're really only left with Tuesday.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And I know you're on Tuesday, but I thought Tuesday would be a good day. And it also allows, because I don't know how much you look at like listenership and stuff, but it allows all those other days to kind of flow through and get people to, listen.
Yeah.
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 Why did you choose Tuesday?
Well, 5 years ago, there was only two podcasts I ever really routinely listen to.
Yeah.
And it was Hodinky Podcast,
Yeah.
Hodinky Radio, which was the watch aspect of my joy
Yeah.
and comfort. And then on Wednesday was Spike's Car Radio,
Yeah.
which was the Cars things.
Mhm.
And since mine is predominantly cars and watches, I was like, well, why don't I split the difference? Because I didn't know of any other show that was released on Tuesday at the time in 2019. So
Exactly.
you're weekly, I'm bi-weekly, and that was really a function of COVID.
Yeah.
I had to go bi-weekly, and I just liked that cadence. Now, does that benefit me now? I'm actually convinced it's to my detriment. I think if I went back to weekly, it would probably help the performance of my show.
Yeah.
But because of my scheduling and how busy I am, I borderline can't go
It's
back.
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to put out a show every week.
Right. Yeah.
I can tell you that.
And I mean, I did it for, I don't know, I think it was only like, I don't know, the first 20 episodes maybe.
Mhm.
And I called each season 15 episodes. And then between 15 and 16, I think I took a month off. And actually between whatever it was, 30 and 31 or whatever that break was, I also took a month off. Now I've kind of, again, to use the term split the difference, I now keep the bi-weekly thing, but I don't take time off.
Yeah, and I think your audience is established well enough to where they would follow you. My whole thing right now is pushing, right? Pushing to get more listeners, pushing to be more visible, and I can't afford to take a week off, and I can't afford to take time off, or even look at a show that inspired me a lot, just like yours, Risk Check Podcast. I think they used to drop bi-weekly. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they take breaks. It doesn't matter. Their listeners are going to wait. They're going to listen and tune in.
Right.
And they're not going to be like, oh, what happened to Risk Check? Oh, I'll stop listening.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
So for me, it's like I want it to be every Tuesday. On Tuesdays, the show comes out.
Do you edit it, or does somebody edit it for you?
Every now and then I'll have a buddy of mine help me with stuff. Yeah, and stuff that I don't even want to talk about here. But
Okay.
he'll help me if I need it.
Is he grabbing your eggs and bacon from the grocery store as well?
That's hilarious. No, I just mean sometimes, and I'm not going to say who, but sometimes every now and then someone will say something that I can't run in the show, and then I'll be like, oh man, what am I going to do? Because I don't have that skill set to edit. I don't know how to edit the show.
I see. Interesting.
So then I'll ask his help. And again, it's not as if what I'm about to say didn't happen. Like, I had Matt Farrow on the show this Tuesday.
Yeah, of course.
Matt didn't say anything like that, but like he started running the show before I was aware. Kind of
okay.
like earlier.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, are we live? He's like, yeah, we were already running. I had to cut all that out, but I don't know how to do that. So I asked my buddy to do that.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, gotcha.
But I'm going to put out the YouTube video with all that because, again, I don't know. I don't edit video.
Right.
I'm kind of a Luddite. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason we like, the analog lifestyle, right, of cars and watches, manual cars, mechanical watches, is I think we're all trying to remain Luddites.
Yeah.
You're a lawyer, though, right?
I am,
Which is also a Luddite type of role.
Yeah,
I feel
very
like.
much.
A lot of reading and writing.
Yeah.
What type of law do you practice?
I do employment defense. So I defend corporations when they get sued by employees.
For what's like the most common reason somebody gets sued for?
Wrongful termination.
Okay.
Yeah. Or like discrimination.
So you're the only guy in California actually fighting for companies?
No,
it's an employee state.
only
Like I feel like the
guy?
employees
No.
get away with murder.
Well, I'm talking to a small business owner, so I guess I have the ear of someone sympathetic. But yeah, California is a very pro-employee state. All
Yes.
the laws are written, and for good reason, to benefit the employee. The employee kind of has a slight advantage in a lot of ways at the outset of these cases.
I mean, having managed people, I can tell you right now, it is very, very, very difficult to get rid of someone. And and I only use the term "get rid of" is because the only reason you would want to fire somebody is because they're not helping you. Right. So that's the only. I'm not trying to be, malicious in my thinking. It's more, look, man, you're actually getting in the way of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
And because it's California, Whereas like you and I are both from North Carolina. Like
Mhm.
I'd just be like, sorry, bro, not working out. Bye. You
Yeah,
know?
and that would probably
Whereas
be the end of it.
here it's a performance or an employee performance improvement plan.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like not even 3 strikes, you're out. I mean, you're talking probably 6 months to get rid of somebody sometimes. I mean, unless they've like, you know, injured somebody else on purpose or, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's a big calculus, and I think for the listeners that are maybe not well versed with what we're talking about, what Wesley's trying to say is like if you wanted to fire someone, you have to paper it and you have to really make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, or else when the person goes to sue you,
you don't have ammunition.
you don't have anything to back it up.
Right.
But here's the problem, which I'm seeing more and more, is that just being sued, even if you didn't do anything wrong as the employer,
Right.
and you crossed all those T's, you dotted all those I's, just to get out of the lawsuit is going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you did nothing wrong. And a court is eventually going to say, employer, you did nothing wrong here, summary judgment in favor of the employer. That's going to cost you a lot of money just to get to that day.
Yeah, the court costs. I mean, that's the thing is like I had to let go of a landscape architect guy that I tried to work with, and I gave him some money up front according to our conversation. It would get him started, yada, yada, yada. He never went even as far as we had discussed, frankly. So I quite frankly had to verbally fire him from the job.
Mm-hmm.
And though I gave him what I would consider not an insignificant amount of money, certainly would have been nice to put towards that car. But it was too little money to try to sue him, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's not even worth it.
Well, that's the conundrum also, is what is worth fighting over. And there's another concept in law called being judgment proof, which means you might win a lawsuit against a company or a person, but it means nothing because there's no mechanism really to enforce a money judgment.
Yeah.
There are ways you can try to get around it, but that's going to cost you more money.
Right.
So you leave court, they say, Wesley, you owe this person $20,000. Right. If you don't comply, there's not much that they can do, except spend more money to try to make you comply.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there a particular reason why you chose employment law?
No.
Really? It just landed in your lap or what?
Yeah. I started a firm, and it was the most interesting amongst the least interesting stuff you could do.
Okay, so you started a firm before you even had a specialty.
Yeah. I started at what you would call like a big law firm. We'll just call it that generically.
Sure.
And so you come in as like, the legal... I don't want to dwell too much on this topic, but the legal industry in terms of
it's
like...
Saturday. You're not at work. Don't
Right.
you want to talk about work?
Well, so that's the thing, right? What I'm trying to say is there's not a lot of, how would you say, structure
Okay.
at these law firms, even though you think there would be. So you kind of come in as like a free agent, and different people will just give you work. There's no system for it. It'll just happen or not happen. And then you kind of maybe do a little bankruptcy, and then you do a little labor and employment, which is what I do now. Maybe you do a little general contract law, and you're just kind of like swimming around being like, I have to know all these different things. I don't have a specialty. And then you eventually say, I want to just do this. And then you try to do that, which may or may not work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
it's not fun.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Is it tough to find clients? I would imagine a lot of stuff is based like on referral.
Yeah, I mean, again, I work at a firm, and I've worked at firms, so I don't have any clients. They're
Okay.
firm clients.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
merely staffed on these matters.
They assign you to projects.
Yeah.
Okay. Or cases or whatever.
It would be great to have a client. Once you have clients, you kind of have more skin in the game. You have more control in a way.
Sure.
But that can also be a very slippery slope in terms of, is it a new client? Is it a client that used to be at the firm? Because there's a lot of fighting at law firms about credit in terms of who gets the credit for saying this work is mine.
Oh gosh, sounds like a car dealership.
wouldn't be that far off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You grew up in Charlotte.
Yeah.
What do you miss most about it?
My family, for sure.
That's an
most
easy
of my
answer, though.
Yeah, I'll give you a harder answer in a moment. But yeah, I miss being at home and being with them. But the harder answer would be probably seasons.
I was going to say, don't say the cost of living.
No,
Seasons.
seasons.
I agree with you. 100%.
I miss the leaves changing and the weather changing, and it would be nice. When I was growing up, we go to football games on Friday night, and it's a little chilly, and you get your hot cocoa and all that. I don't miss cold.
Right,
I
sure.
do not like, and it didn't get that cold there, but I don't like winter.
Right.
Winter's not a season that I'm like, man, I wish it was so cold that I couldn't feel feel this or that. Yeah, I miss that. I also miss the nature.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Chapel Hill somewhat recently, and there's just so many trees and
Right.
oh, it's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fall in North Carolina is incredible. You have a no-date Submariner on your wrist.
Yeah.
We've kind of mentioned watches already earlier in the conversation. Tell me about the watch journey. What got you into timepieces?
I think I've always liked cars, liked watches, but I didn't have an obsession with watches like I did with cars.
Okay.
But I did like them, and I remember when I was maybe 6 or 7, I got this pocket watch. It's a Guess pocket watch.
Yeah, sure.
Indiglo.
Interesting.
I still have it, but I just thought that thing was so cool. And then
A pocket watch.
Yeah.
As a 6-year-old.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
You must have been the most sophisticated 6-year-old I ever knew.
Well, so they Guess at that time, like Guess, Timex, Fossil, they were all doing kind of like retro-y things. So it wasn't that far out of it. I mean, to laugh though at that idea, I remember I got a Palm Pilot as a gift when I turned like 11.
Wow.
It couldn't do anything. I don't know why this person gave me this thing.
I mean, it was the perfect gift for a Luddite.
It couldn't do anything. And it had a stylus, and you could draw. It had like an app you could draw in, and that's pretty much all I used it for. But I just thought, man, what a weird gift to give an 11-year-old. But yeah, the watch thing, it really, a lot of it was observing, because like my dad wasn't into watches. I didn't have anyone in my immediate family that was like a watch person who I kind of looked up to, but it was more like family friends that you would see. So it wasn't until I went to college that I really started to buy my own watches and wear a watch every day. And I remember very vividly buying a Citizen Eco Drive chronograph, which also I still have.
Nice.
And I was so enamored with this idea that like the sun is the battery, and if you put it in the sun, it charges it, and it's like 2 years worth of like charge, if you will.
Yeah.
And that watch was flawless. It kept amazing time.
Mm-hmm.
It had a great design. It was at this time that I was really honing kind of my aesthetic with watches.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shopping a lot. And this was also around the time that like Amazon was starting to get it like big. So this was like 2009, 2010. And
Wait, did you have a job that you bought? Like, how did you afford the watch? What were you doing?
I was a tour guide
at
my college.
You got paid to do that?
Yeah.
I thought that was like some student volunteer thing.
Maybe at some colleges, but at my college it was paid.
Wow. Where'd you go?
I went to a school called Elon University.
Oh, sure. Only the number 2 most beautiful campus in the nation.
Wow, look at you know it.
Behind Pepperdine.
At one time, yeah. But now people just know it, and they say, oh, like Elon Musk? That's probably
Oh, God.
the worst thing you could say to me is like, oh, Elon, like Elon Musk? No affiliation. Elon, like the town in North Carolina.
Great school.
Yeah, good school. I was a tour guide, and then I had another job. Oh, I was a tutor.
Okay.
I tutored. Oh, that was great. I was a tutor at elementary schools.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that job actually paid pretty well. So,
What subject?
and I was very financially responsible, still am. And so I would just spend every dime that I got. What subject?
Yeah.
English and math.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That was a fun gig. I would go to the schools and they'd be like, "These are college students. You could be like them one day." It was nice. It was really nice.
That's really cute.
And you get to see parts of Burlington, if you know that city.
Sure.
That you're kind of like, wow, this is the other side of the coin. So yeah, that was really rewarding. But yeah, so I started buying a few watches, and these are, cheap relative watches, $200, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I got this watch. Do you know in Chapel Hill a store called Alexander Julian?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
so-
designed the basketball uniforms.
Yeah. So I went to Alexander Julian, and I remember they had these watches that it was like VK Negrani, and I just thought they were so cool. And I went to buy this watch, and I don't know if it was because it was sensing like fraud or something on the card, but like the lady would swipe the card and she'd be like, "Oh, it's not accepting it," and so eventually it like went through. And then when I went to check my statement, I've been charged like 9 times.
Oh God.
And like my account's like in the red.
Sure.
And I'm like, I hope this gets worked out. It did. But that watch was great. I still have that watch too. I never wear it. But it was automatic movement, which was my first automatic watch.
You'll have to send me a photo of this because I
Yeah.
don't know this brand.
Well, I'm a little hesitant. You got to remember, this is like college me.
Don't be embarrassed.
No.
It's just, I don't know what
it's
it looks
big.
like.
It's a big watch.
Okay. all right.
But
It's like a U-boat?
kind of.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
And blue. It was a blue dial and a blue leather strap. The leather strap was just so striking.
Yeah, man.
I love that.
That sounds cool.
And when I wore it, I'd be like, man, I'm doing it. And then I ended up wearing that Citizen for probably about 10 years. And it wasn't until I graduated law school that I really got into the watch game like how I am now, because I just didn't have any money.
What was the first piece you got out of law school?
I got a Bell and Ross 123B from 2000 full set. That was kind of like, I was like, yeah, I'm doing it.
Is
I
that the
love that
square one,
watch.
or is
No.
it a square one?
It's not square. It's a watch that now. Thank you, Fred Savage. It looks a lot like a 1016 Explorer.
Really
Yeah, I'd never considered that until Fred Savage said that.
interesting.
But it's a beautiful watch. It was. I always had an affinity for Bell and Ross because when I was working in restaurants, I would see guys wearing them, and the square ones. I think the square ones are beautiful.
Yeah.
But I would see people wearing Bell and Ross, and I was like, man, that company is so good. I want one of those one day.
Yeah.
And it's the Bell and Ross you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. I've definitely never seen that.
No, and I quite enjoy it. But yeah, it has Explorer vibes.
Yeah.
But I'd never considered that.
Mainly the font of the
Mainly
numbers.
the font. Yeah, I love it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then it was just like a flood of watches after that.
So you've mentioned restaurants a couple
Mm-hmm.
times. What kind of restaurants did you work in? Are we talking steakhouses? Or are we talking fast casual? Like what are we doing?
I mean, it's not a secret, my listeners would know. I used to work for the company that has Houston's.
Oh sure. Yeah.
So I worked at Hillstone for many years.
Spinach and artichoke dip.
Yeah. And then I worked at a restaurant called Petit Trois
Okay.
in Hollywood, owned by Chef Ludo Lefebvre.
Nice.
Yeah.
So were you introduced to wine and the culinary arts just from working, or did you have like an interest that like preceded all of this?
No, it was born out of that.
Gotcha.
And at Hillstone, they take their wine program very seriously. And,
Sure. What's your favorite wine? I mean, obviously it depends on what you're eating, but like
You just want varietal?
just like you want to open a bottle to either drink casually with no food and or end your day with at 6:00, or you might be eating with it as well.
Cab. I pretty much mostly drink cabs.
Got it. California.
Yep. Napa cabs. That's my favorite kind of genre, if you will,
Sure.
of a varietal. But if it's a warm day, I like Sauvignon Blanc. The problem is with like a Sauv Blanc, it's just too drinkable.
Mm-hmm.
So I find myself being like, oh yeah, I'll have another kind of it's just too easy.
That's an Aperol spritz for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I need something a little more hearty to kind of slow down the intake.
Yeah. That was sort of just a brief interruption because I wanted to ask about your Grail watch.
Yeah.
What's the top dog?
You know, that's really funny that you asked that because I was just asked this other day and I was thinking about it because the sub that I'm wearing was my Grail. This was the watch that
Funny how this happens.
It is. This was my Grail. When I was in law school, I remember sitting, like, studying, being like, one day I'm going to have my Porsche and my Submariner.
Right.
So that's nice to achieve.
And you got your Q2. You got the kit.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I only went to law school to do those things.
I see.
That was the reason. I could have kept doing what I was doing. But the Grail watch now, it's really hard to say. Like, I don't have a single focus where it's like I'm saving for this or I'm working for this. I have things I'm very, very much interested in.
Yeah.
I very much want an original Aquanaut. That's a little more of a stretch / probably won't happen considering how sought after the Aquanaut is now. But a more realistic one is a Zenith Daytona. I really, really, really want a Zenith Daytona. White dial.
That's my jam.
Yeah. That's
my favorite.
what I really want.
Those prices have come down a little bit too.
They have, and I know you also like that watch, but that would be, I don't know if Grail is the word, but like really interested.
Well, it's a killer watch. I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't be a Grail, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, and it's certainly Grail worthy, but I guess what I'm saying in my mind is I don't feel the way I felt about this watch about that Zenith. I don't dream about it in the sense of like, my life will be better once I get it.
It doesn't look like an end zone or an end game.
Correct.
Whereas the sub did.
Yeah.
And maybe every time you look down at that, what do you think?
I just think about how...
Like, can you believe it's yours? Like, do you ever look down at it and being like, oh my God, I can't believe this is mine?
And I think this is where it gets tough because you don't want to sound a certain way. But, like, yes, of course.
But that's your goalpost. Who cares what other people think?
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is yes, but also you get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
I
so
know what
you
mean.
lose a little perspective. It's kind of like with anything. Once you have it,
sure,
you're like, this is great.
Desensitized.
Yeah, you get desensitized. I will tell you, I thought, this is funny coming from me, but Wesley, I thought when I got this, I would no longer have the watch bug. I thought like, man, I'm going to wear this. It's going to be my watch. Nothing's after this.
I never really gave this much thought until just now. But I think part of the reason this happens, the thing you're talking about, is because the time between the thought of owning that and the time of owning that, there's all this time where you're learning more about watches.
Yes.
And you are honing your tastes and you're understanding more about aesthetics and proportion and mechanism and et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I genuinely, again, I never really gave this much thought until just now, but I really do think that that's probably how that unfolds, is that it's quite literally your knowledge and exposure is greater now than it used to be, so you understand what is out there, what does make these things different.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Certainly. I mean, the amount of research that I did on this watch, definitely. And then you start going down other rabbit holes and you start learning about other movements and about all these sorts of things.
Well, prime example, your 997.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of the 993 prior to buying the 997?
Yeah, I couldn't afford one.
Okay.
I really wanted a 993.
That has been. Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, the 993 is my Grail 99 car. Car, Porsche, anything. And in fact, this is one of my, it's very painful to even say, but let me set this up. So I bought that car in February of 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple years earlier, my parents had a neighbor who had a 97 993 cab, white over blue with a blue top.
Oh man, that's like nautical spec.
Yeah. And by the way, I love like funky interiors like
Yeah.
that, like blue,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, so he takes me for a ride. We had a great time. I tell him, like I tell everyone else, because no one ever does this, but I always say, think of me if you're going to sell. Think about me. I'm interested. Okay. So very sadly, he passed away in early 2021, and this car comes up for sale. But, Wesley, it came up for sale, I kid you not, 1 week after I bought the 997.
Oh, God.
And since I'm crazy and having no self-control, I really, really thought about buying it in addition. But I got in my head, I was like, what will people think at work? Like, will people think I'm crazy? All this stuff. Like, I should have bought the car.
Sure.
It was, if I told you the price, you would laugh. I didn't buy it.
It would have been a lot cheaper.
And I regret it. And the car's flipped hands now multiple times. I could have given it a great home. So sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone. But yeah, I really wanted a 993. I've always wanted a 993.
Got it.
And had I been at this stage 10 years ago, I could have easily bought a 993.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It's all about timing. It's all about how these things shape up. But I love the 997. And in many ways, it fits my lifestyle way better than a 993 could.
Yeah.
There's a reason the cars went to being water cooled, liquid cooled, however you want to say it. It helps.
Shout out Jerry.
It's not water.
Yeah.
It helps with the overall daily usability of these cars.
Sure.
I'm not sitting in traffic thinking, oh man, I hope the car's not going to get too hot.
Right.
Oh, today it's too hot, I can't drive it. There was a period of time where I drove this car every single day, and it was flawless. This 997, any 997, if someone's listening right now that's kind of sitting there being like, I don't know, I really want one, go buy one.
Yeah.
I'm saying that to you too.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Trust me, you don't have to convince me. So you're friends with Zuckerman.
Yeah.
How did that friendship kick off?
Been talking a lot about law school, and this is another law school story. So I was very disciplined in law school. I went to law school as a later adult, right? So
Where'd you go?
Loyola Marymount.
Oh, so that's what brought you to L.A.
No, I moved to LA to be an actor.
Oh, okay.
This was after that.
Got it. Okay.
So this is my second act.
Hence the restaurants.
Yes. So I was so disciplined that like I would leave my phone in the car while I was studying because it was just too distracting.
Sure.
But on my breaks, I would treat myself to looking at Instagram. And so I'm looking at Instagram and I'm seeing some amazing cars. I don't even remember exactly how I came across his account, but I come across Zuckerman's account on Instagram and I'm like, wow, this guy has amazing car taste. And at this time, he had like a 300 SL Gullwing.
Oh, yeah.
He had the Roadster 300 SL, all sorts of crazy cars. And I'm like looking at his account, and one day on one of these breaks, he like posted something that was like, so you want to be a lawyer. This is what it's really like. Because I had no idea who this guy was.
Sure.
I was out of the like car scene, out of the
Right.
like cool scene. I'm like buried in books.
You weren't out of it. You just weren't yet in it.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah. I wasn't like
It's
in
a
that
different world.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh my God, this guy's like a lawyer. I'm trying to be a lawyer. So I sent him a DM.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, this was in like 2017. And I said, hey, I'm in law school. I see you're a lawyer. Like, I love cars. I see you love cars. And
This
I
is
would
great.
love to, this is all true. I'd love to see your car sometime. Trevor.
Yeah.
And he wrote back.
Yeah, of course he did.
And he wrote back and he's like, come to the hangar on Saturday. And so
That's amazing.
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's how it started. And
He's the absolute best. I've met him a few times, as you know. In fact, when we recorded the first time, with
we
you
recorded at his garage.
in his garage. I don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt he would even say he even knows who I am. But it's certainly a guy that like I admire, I respect. I think he's hilarious. I side with his opinion 99.999% of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he's just the best, and he's extremely entertaining, obviously.
He's so generous. And it's not this kind of story is not unique to me. I could tell a million stories of things like this with other people.
Right, sure.
But he's a very generous person, and I find myself talking a lot about him because he
means a lot to you.
He means a lot to me, but he has a lot of us shared interests.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and now he's like so into watches. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's truly remarkable. And his knowledge of watches has like, it's scary in like a short order. 1 year, 1 year ago today, if you will, he was not in the watch game. Just think about that.
Right. No, I know. What I don't want to air his dirty laundry. I guess that's a question for him. I was just curious, like, what cars did he sell that, like, he started buying watches with? Because I remember he said...
Well, he said the Special Wishes 930 kind of kicked it off.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But he's since sold that 300 SL Roadster and Gullwing.
Nice.
Yeah. The car thing is fascinating because... what's been difficult about him really getting into watches is he's gotten away from cars.
Right.
Now, he still loves cars, don't get me wrong, but he's not acquiring cars it's almost like he quit cars cold turkey.
Right.
To my knowledge.
Except for all the Plan Zs he does with Spike.
Well, yeah. You know. I don't really count those.
Yeah, no.
Because those are just flips. Right. But the Batmobile that he got, he's been working on that for almost a year. So that one feels like it was so long ago. Like I'm not counting it because it just arrived now. It was put into play a very long time ago. Mm-hmm. This Dakar M5, do you know about this?
No.
So he just bought a E39 M5.
The best one.
Dakar yellow.
Wow.
It's one of 15. Like one of 15 ever made in Dakar yellow.
Amazing.
I gotta see that car. It has less than 200 miles on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's not. It's
like
yet.
New old stock.
It's new old stock.
Wow.
Yeah. Other than that, he hasn't bought a car in a while.
Wow.
Yeah, he's out of he's not really in the car thing.
That's incredible.
But the watches?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Deep end. He's got serious heat.
Oh yeah.
Trevor, thanks, man, for coming down here. Thanks for chilling with me in my car, no less.
This is fun.
Got kind of warm, so we opened the doors. Dude, yeah, it's always fun. It's always great to catch up. It's always good to see you. We're about to walk into the mall to an IWC event. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for that.
So you have your IWC on this time. You know what's funny? I get in my head a lot, and then I won't. Like, old me would have just dwelled and then probably fallen apart. New me just dwells and then just continues to think about it later. I still think about the haunting of myself that I called your Longue an IWC.
Oh Jesus, that's so ridiculous.
That's how crazy my brain is.
You're being silly. I don't think anybody cares above all me.
This is a beautiful, beautiful IWC.
So this is for those, this is audio only. So this is so the tribute to 3705, which shouldn't come much as a surprise to most listening that I'm wearing it, or that in talking IWC, this happens to be the one on my wrist. I also have a Portofino chronograph, which I love dearly, and have worn recently, actually. But this one, Taupe Strap Club, go to this event. It's a collector's event.
I'm now joining the Taupe Strap Club, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
I'm going to put that on... I'm going to put that on Explorer 2. Yeah,
sweet. Oh, nice. Yeah, that'll look great. Awesome. Well, dude, let's head into this thing.
Yeah, this was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This wraps up this episode of the Standard Age Podcast. If you like what you heard, I'd love it if you'd share it with a friend or two. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the show, as it helps others discover these episodes. It absolutely helps far more than you realize. Shout out to Jensen Reed and Super Beautiful for the theme track. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.